The Scottish Highlands, pristine wilderness of rolling hills, towering peaks and idyllic lochs. An expansive playground for those seeking refuge from the chaos of urban life. Thousands of kilometres of sinuous trails meandering up Munros and crags, through glens and straths and between lochs and lakes. The home of Loch Ness, the UCI Mountain Biking World Cup, and of course, Loch Cuioch.
But our Texan friend Kristen had other ideas. He was going to take us on a trek that even he would soon regret. Bogs that could swallow a man whole, midges that could take down livestock, and a perpetual wetness that made this more like a swim than a ride. We came to Scotland to escape the heat and sun of Singapore. So on the first day when it wasn't raining, as we headed out from Fort Augustus, we really didn't know how lucky we were. We thought this great weather was normal. But that nice weather only lasted an hour or two. Soon it started raining. But we didn't mind. No, we were mountain bikers exploring the wilderness.
So here we are on our first day of riding. It's pretty rainy, but I guess we'll get used to it. I guess that's what you put up with when you come to Scotland to mountain bike. But I didn't expect summer to be this wet.
But we carried on, the occasional paved road a true luxury.
All right, man, so what do you think? Day one. How's it been?
Loving it.
Awesome, man.
So what have you seen so far?
Oh, nice rivers, awesome trail, and just beautiful landscape, man. Scotland is beautiful.
And this is like the first glimpse of civilization. We got one van and a shack.
Yeah,
so where are we now?
Yeah, so what we do, this is Loch Arkaig, and we have to go about 97 more miles that direction in the next 3 hours, and then we can turn up to the right and cut over. It's about a 9,000 or 10,000 foot climb up and over. I reckon we'll be there by daytime tomorrow.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now obviously Kristen was exaggerating, but the irony was what he said basically proved to be true.
All right, so this stuff's really boggy, really steep.
The Scots would say it's boggin'.
We've been hiking it for an hour and a half, straight up from that valley right there behind Kristen. And there's like deer up here. It's kind of rainy. It's super muddy. And
But there is a bottle of whiskey waiting for us just over that hill.
right, okay. All right, man.
The terrain was ridiculous. No wheeled vehicle known to man could possibly traverse it. The precipitous slopes of permamud were absolutely gushing with water, making the impassable non-trail an impassable waterlogged peat sponge.
Yeah. Where are we, man?
That's Loch Arkaig, and we've cycled all the way up that damn thing from way back down there.
All the way this way?
All the way down to just like that little house thing down there. We're on this side of the river.
And then up.
And then climbing up this small river valley up to here.
And Kristen, what's that peak behind that furthest one back there?
Yeah,
the highest one?
I don't know the name of it. It will be a Munro of some sort. So
What does a Munro mean?
It'll be 3,000 feet. There's 280 odd hills in Scotland that are 3,000 feet or taller. And they're kind of collectively called Munros because the guy that measured them all or counted them all was named something Munro. So a lot of people go out and climb them, try and climb them all. I think I've done about 60 or 70 of them.
Wow.
Mark's probably done close to 200, would be my guess. We can ask him. And another friend of ours has done them all.
That's a lot.
Usually you do a little celebration when you do them all. So here's the deal. So we're going down this bit here. Mark's been here about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, and he was saying to me that we're going to follow this little river here. He was saying that, again, like back there, there's a million different little trails that kind of just go off everywhere. He said, wherever possible, stay left. Don't go down towards the river, because he said there's some that take you down there, and then just kind of stop, and you have to claw your way back up. So if you have any question, any choice, try to stay left, stay high, as you're going downhill.
So this has been really hard riding. We've been out 9 hours and 58 minutes. It's 8:13 p.m. and we've only done 53 kilometers. So It's amazing scenery, but it's cold. It's about 11, 12 degrees. We're in a cloud. It's raining. At least the midges are gone. Our feet are completely soaked from river crossings. But guess what? I love it.
The only creatures on Earth that possibly had a chance here were birds, but there were no trees. Not a single one. And this meant no shelter from the incessant wind and constant rain. But just over that crag there, that peak, or the next one, or maybe the next one, or the one after that, was the descent that led to the bothy where we'd be staying that night.
What do you got there, Kristen?
I got a buffler.
Eventually, we made it down to the bothy where our friends Mark and Steve were waiting. A centuries-old farmhouse maintained by volunteers for hikers and explorers just like ourselves.
Finally, we make it to the bothy.
Don't get wet. Don't get wet.
Alright, let's get in.
We took the roof off.
Who's gonna spoon me to keep me warm?
I'll do something to you.
No power, no plumbing, no problem. After all, we had lots of coal and even more whiskey.
That's up.
It was amazing to have a roof over our heads after that 11-hour trek out in the elements. To have a can of beans and some whiskey after barely scraping by on nuts and granola.
We'll know in about 30 seconds.
To have a place to sleep after pushing a bike with a loaded pack up 500 meters of bog.
Oh yeah.
I was just thankful to be here.
Does anyone want to help Kristen be drinking whiskey?
I have a little bit in my cup. I haven't.
Warms you up.
Otherwise, we're just going to have to leave it as well.
No, that's not right.
I mean, it is nice to arrive at Bothy if there's a little bit of whiskey, but you never quite know if it's proper whiskey or somebody's like topped up with it.
It's best to bring your own.
Yeah, with their own special product. Okay, we're going to push the bikes down to the river, cross the river over there, probably a wade, and then we're going to have to pack up there to that path. We're going to bike, that's great biking all the way up there to the top. There's a little bridge, and then it's downhill, good mountain biking over the forest.
Cool.
Yep.
So how long is that?
I reckon we'll be at the forest in an hour, maybe an hour and 15.
Okay. And so are you dry? Are your clothes dry?
My clothes are medium dry.
So is that a problem?
No,
Why?
because we're going to wade a river in about half an hour. we're going to be up to our nipples.
So this bothy, who is this? What do you think the history is behind this?
It'll be in the book who lived here, but that's the main house. That's Kinbreck. It looks quite a big house, so it's probably like a factor or the guy who took all the rents. This is the stables, and animals were downstairs. The guy lived upstairs. Yep.
And then what are these pieces over here of metal?
That's the wheel rims of his cart. Over there. Yep.
Very cool. And this is where we came down from yesterday.
Yep.
Not the peak, but to the left of this.
And all these hills, that hill there is a mountain called Garrick, which is Gaelic for the roaring. I think because there's deer there. It's a Munro, it's 3,000 feet. In the clouds, another big hill, Skirmore. And that's a Corbett, it's between 2,500 and 3,000 feet.
The second day brought new hope. It looked like we were on relatively manageable terrain, as we didn't have to cross any huge passes. And a little freezing river or two here or there didn't really mean anything. By now, we had just accepted the perpetual wetness we were going to have to face. And we were finally in a group of 5, how it was supposed to be. And to top it all off, there was said to be a very long downhill gravel road, which led to a pub full of beer.
Okay, so we crossed from the bothy up there down here, and it was really hard. It was like, I called it like inverse potholes. It was like these bumps, but the rest was down. Very hard on the bike. It's not cycling. We cannot cycle. And then there's this swampy bog stuff everywhere, and I sank right to my waist. Kind of scary. I thought I could have like gone under.
Put
but
your wheel out like that a little bit. So
Yeah.
See how it sinks in.
I mean, this is nothing. This is no big deal. But I held onto the bike to prevent myself from going in, sort of. I knew it wouldn't go in, and I could.
As I'm sure is clear by now, the beauty of these hills and glens is deceptive. Underneath it all hides a terrain that is comically treacherous. From a distance, picturesque, but up close, torturous. Endless peat bogs that swallow you up with no warning. Grass tussocks that are too high to step on, but too close to each other to step between. And a weather so unpredictable that it's predictable. Yes, it will rain, and yes, the rain will stop, eventually. Where else in the world does waterlogged land persist, even on the steepest slopes? There were 5 factors we decided would either make or break your day mountain biking in Scotland. And if you could eliminate 3 of them, you were in for a good time. The first one, rain, self-explanatory. The second one, cold. Anything above 10 degrees Celsius works. Number 3, unrideable hills, also pretty clear. 4, midges. Pinhead-sized, biting, gnat-like bastards that swarm in the trillions. And last, 5, bogs. Think Luke and R2 in Dagobah minus Yoda. So in other words, you could be facing cold rain but with no hills, midges, or bogs, and you'd be happy. Or deep bogs that would envelop cattle along with persistent plagues of biting midges, and you'd be chuffed.
When there's no rain, no midges, no bogs, we're happy. Actually, even if it rained right now, we'd be okay. Don't run into me!
Nice. Lock or river? I don't know. Either one.
Millions of locks, millions of rivers. I'd just call it a lock.
The short respite from the unforgiving wilderness was just what we needed. Just what we needed to make us think Easy Street was somehow going to continue. Just what we needed to learn to never get our hopes up. Because soon, we'd have another pass to cross. But not before Kristen gave us a history lesson.
Kristen, where were you saying all these rhododendrons came from?
So there was Cuick Lodge down over there somewhere. This would be the gardens. These would have escaped from the gardens of it. It's flooded now about when they built Loch Cuick there.
So when do you think they built that?
I don't know, somewhere after the World War II anyways.
And so these...
The dam, you mean? Yeah, Cuick Lodge, I don't know. I presume the Cuick Lodge is probably a couple hundred years old.
And so these flowers are what remain of the landscaping.
Yeah. And Andrea's mom worked at Cuick Lodge when she was very young. They saw a ghost there as well, apparently.
But all those rhododendrons, lodges, and ghosts were just distraction tactics. A feeble ploy to try to avoid thinking or talking about the horrors that lay ahead.
Okay, so we just came from way back here. And we came around a road down here. And this is, Christian, what is this called?
Loch Cuick. And so what we're doing now, we had to get around this hill. We're going to go down this valley. And there's that big hill in front of us. We're going to turn right. Eventually, we have to get up and over that. We're going to get over it at a slightly lower point. We're going to be pushing up a hill for quite a while. That sign there says 11 miles until we get to the pub. So that might be about 11 hours.
This part wasn't that bad.
I better keep moving.
As you can see, they're like 30 meters of rideable trail. Right after the longhorn bulls my Texan friend didn't even seem worried about.
Loch Cuick is over that mountain, about 4 hours that way, where the rhododendrons are. We came around that thing, around there, and up to here, following that river up. Now we're like, what? What do you think? 80% of the way up?
Yeah, 75 anyway. I don't know, 5.
Whatever. There's no point estimating it.
We're pretty close.
And then that water slide right there looks mighty fine. It looks like you could just sit down on that and go down, but that's the wrong way. And then apparently right over there, is a pub
A pub with food and dinner and drinks.
and beer.
Indeed, at the bottom of this long downhill was a pub. We each had multiple servings of fish and chips, numerous pints, and purchased at least a dozen candy bars. But we were so exhausted, famished, and filthy, the last thing on my mind was video, so we have no footage. But it's a good thing we ate so much, because the final stretch to the Bothy was truly a killer. Far harder than the climb the day before, and way longer. However, the knowledge that Mark had stashed a bottle of whiskey, a bag of coal, and some instant pasta under some rubble by the Bothy kept us going.
I think it's in
Just.
here.
So what's this, the food Mark hid?
I think this is our cache of stuff that Mark hid for us.
Yes, it's still there. How many months has this been
Looks
here?
like it's been chewed through by some rats or something, so who knows what's left. Careful that.
Look, bean sprouts grew under it.
Yeah, that definitely looks like it's been chewed, doesn't it? Oh, hell yeah.
It's draining. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty nice. It's got two sides. Each side has a room and a fireplace. There's some people on the other side, and it's got they've got a dog in there. Anyway, let's check it out. So here we are, and I'm just gonna close the door here. This is our side over here. It's got there's Christian right there. It's got two bunks, top and bottom. Fireplace over here. Sleeping bag. Bike's over here. Cooking some peat to get a fire going tonight. A little bit of whiskey that Mark left. Our junk here. And it's actually not so bad.
Pretty easy riding right now. We just came down this road from Canbam, up in those hills, behind those hills, somewhere back there. Probably about right behind here. And we came up to this amazing lock right here with this house down here. I think you can rent. A little pier, nice waterfall beyond it. The sun's just come out. We got a smooth downhill road and we're going up to Karimini. Just met a really nice guy back here setting up some radio communication system for a race that's gonna be happening. I think as you said, it's a 25-mile run and then a 25-mile bike. Very cool kind of thing I'd love to do. So this should be an easy day, I think, all on roads like this, unlike the last 2 days. This morning we came from down here at where?
The youth hall, sorry, the Bothy was called Camban.
Down
Probably
here.
right around in here, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we had come yesterday from through here.
So, like, yeah, when we came.
Is that right?
Like, we were down here, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, we were down there. And then we just now had a very easy ride up to here. Now we're up here.
Yeah.
And then where are we
Okay,
going?
so what we're gonna do is
Oh,
we're
you
gonna,
are here.
yeah, we're gonna go to Cannock and have lunch at the Slater's Arms pub, which should hopefully be open. Then we're gonna bike back up to here through Tomic. Here's a place called Hilton Lodge, and that's where the golden retriever I was telling you about, where the golden retriever was first bred and invented, or whatever you do. And then we're gonna go to Plata Falls, which you're gonna really like. That's a super cool waterfall. We're gonna go there, we're gonna go back to Tomic, and I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do cross country. We could ride the road back around this way to basically Karimini's right here. But it's easier. We can go a little off-road bit to cut off that bit, and it'll be mostly rideable. Pretty cool.
Sounds good. So here we are standing on top of Plata Falls. And it's pretty spectacular. You can't tell it from the video. But it's much higher, I think, than it looks. And Christian said that he was bouncing on this wooden thing and it's sort of moving. And he said, that's the old lookout that broke.
This mansion, known as the Gusican Estate, was built by Lord Tweedmouth on 20,000 acres of land in the mid-1800s. And then in 1938, it became a fitness summer school, But soon after learning that many of the students were skinny dipping in a nearby loch, some old grouch named Lady Islington bought it for £1,500 and removed the furnishings and roofs. And now look at it.
Look at the wooden walls. Like it's wood over the stone.
Yeah, so that was the style. Because you build it with stone, then you put that wood down so that you could put wallpaper or whatever over it. You can't just slap it right on the stone, right? So.
Yeah, and it's also a bit warmer and more.
Yeah.
So the way looks like the way they did it is they put wood between the bricks, and they just hammer into it. Very cool.
But the lodge is also symbolic of where the golden retriever was bred 150 years ago, and it remains a popular meeting place of almost pilgrimage-like significance for lovers of the breed who come back regularly.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, you're just making me recite stuff for your video again and again. There's your stinging nettle, and if you touch it, it'll sting you a bit. This stinging stuff, so you should talk about it. You know this stuff firsthand.
Yeah, I fell in this stuff when I was 4 in England. Like a whole nest of it like this. And that was terrible.
So if you get stung by stinging nettle, there's this plant here is called docken. Supposedly, I've never actually done it, although I think Andrew's probably done it with the girls. You spit on this stuff, and you rub it on wherever you got stung, and this has some sort of medicinal thing that, I don't know what the spit's for, if it just helps it rub, or if there's something to do with the inside. You rub it on where the stinging nettle got you, and it takes the sting away.
So it's nice, it's appropriate how this docken
Grows with it.
is rocking with the nettles.
I think you should try it out. We should test this to see.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, go on, man.
Okay, so please pick me some nettles.
I'll let you do it.
From there, we had some pretty hard climbs, but it wasn't that bad. Around some reservoirs, through some wind farms, and down to the bothy. I truly expected the hostile environment of the prior 3 days, but the worst we had was an aggressive and offensive swarm of Texan-sized flies and just a bit of bog. Mark met up with us that night at this last bothy, as always, equipped with coal and whiskey. But this time, he brought something extra special, kept frigid by the clear flowing stream water, beer. The used cans made excellent windshields as we heated up our dehydrated food on the camp stove. It was a cold June night and we were filthy, wet, and tired, and this culinary experience was one I wouldn't soon forget. Finally, after the 10 p.m. sunset, we went into the 100-year-old cold stone shelter and found some very questionable reading material.
Oslov, kilts. The Jacobite Rebellion. Not the best time to get drunk, hook up with a guy and lose your sister. A drunken bet. When computer game designer Tracy Campbell gets too close and personal with a bottle of Glenfiddich while vacationing in Scotland, she whisks her kilt-obsessed sister back to 1689 to prove hot guys in kilts are a myth. Hello, $100. But all bets are off when she comes to meet Ian, the charming playboy in the to die for kilt. More? I can't do any more.
This fourth and last day was by far the easiest. We passed up through a wind farm, and then we came across a very cool building. It was like a rural skyscraper on a place called Loch Mustack. No idea why they built it so high, but it was fun to explore.
Hey, check it out there. Somehow enough people have gotten all the way up there and written their names in the 80s. Maybe there used to be a ladder or something.
Wow. 3 floors. Wow. Even on the top floor.
Yeah, people writing stuff 94, 94. I think
On the ceiling.
I think it must have been a ladder or stairs back in the day, because those are all older.
So Christian, you're saying this peat here can be cut?
Yeah, this stuff here, you get these big, long kind of saw things and cut sections off. When it's dried, it just basically looks
It's just like a block.
like a drier version of that. Yeah.
And I may add, much to Kristen's chagrin, that I beat his Strava time on this segment in a blistering 3.4 kilometers an hour average speed. I know he wants to take it back, but it's so hard to get to this place, it'll be unlikely to happen anytime soon.
So down at the far end here is the tower, the house we just came from, of this small loch called Loch Stack. And it's got a little dam here at the end. And the cool thing is these guys are installing these wind turbines everywhere. I counted 8 of them over here and then a few more up the hills. And then we got to go over another ridge, and we should be at Fort Augustus in probably 6 hours, 7 hours. Okay, so we've been coming up this uphill for about 45 minutes, and in front of us down here is where the wind farm was, and it's stunningly far. It's incredible. We're on one peak, then there's this glen here, then there's 1, 2 more, and then 3 is where we were. So you can't really see it, but it's right back here on those last peaks where we came through, right in front of them.
This last day, after about 6 or 7 hours of riding, we finally made it back to Fort Augustus on the southwestern tip of Loch Ness. Every bit of pain and suffering totally worth it.
So if you're planning an epic mountain biking trip to Scotland, you've picked the right place. If you like challenging terrain, adventurous lodgings, and a quiet solitude you're unlikely to get most other places. Just don't say we didn't warn you.
Hope you stopped it before that.
That's going in.